What is going on, everyone? We got some breaking news. According to Ian Rappaport, the Houston Texans are sending a late round draft pick to the Minnesota Vikings in exchange for former second round guard Ed Ingram out of LSU. This is from Adam Wexler. Ingram started 41 games the last 3 seasons, including the first 9 games last season, then was benched and didn't play again. Texans reportedly sending a 6th-round draft pick to the Minnesota Vikings to take a look at Ingram in the final season of his rookie contract. So the Houston Texans are banking for a low-risk, high-reward situation here, hoping that with better coaching, we get to see some of the best of Ed Ingram. And I think it's safe to say that as of right now, Ed Ingram is your starting right guard. Now, if we make any more moves during this free agency period, of course, we'll, have a different conversation. But I wanted to talk about the state of this Houston Texan offensive line because it is going through an extreme makeover. There's no other way to put it. Someone who's been there the last 7 seasons, a Pro Bowler in 5 of those seasons, Laramie Tunsil, now a Washington Commander. I wanted to talk about not only the state of this offensive line, but who would be the 5 starters if week 1 was tomorrow. My name is Ruben Calvillo. This is the 713 Houston Sportcast, where I drop daily Houston Texans content. So please make sure you guys are following me on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok for all the latest Houston Texans news, rumors, and updates. Now, ladies and gentlemen, before we jump into the Houston Texans starting offensive line right now, according to Ian Rappaport, another Minnesota Vikings offensive lineman is on the move. They plan to release center Garrett Bradbury if they can't trade him. This sounds like a Houston Texans deal just waiting to happen. The team signed veteran Ryan Kelly to replace Bradbury, a first-round pick in 2019 who started 88 games in Minnesota. He turns 30 in June and is now headed elsewhere. I would immediately send a 7th-round pick to the Minnesota Vikings for Garrett Bradbury. If I would have, had the chance to choose between Garrett Bradbury and Ed Ingram, I would have went Garrett Bradbury. I think he's better than what you have at center versus Jared Patterson and Juice Scruggs. But we'll see how that plays out. Let's talk about who is currently on the Houston Texans. And at left tackle, according to Aaron Wilson, it is Titus Howard. Titus Howard once again moving position, showing that he is a team player, going from right tackle to left guard to now left tackle for the Houston Texans, protecting C.J. Stroud's blind side in 2025 and the foreseeable future. Look, I like this move for Titus Howard. I think we're kind of, forcing him to be the leader of the O-line unit. Because I could say Titus Howard would be here the next 1 to 2 years. I can't say the same about Laken Tomlinson, who we'll talk about in a second. I can't say the same about Ed Ingram, who we'll talk about in a second. But Titus Howard, he's been a part of the Houston Texans organization for a while now. One of the last remaining essence of Bill O'Brien, and he has, stood the test of time. I'm wishing Titus Howard the very best. I hope he succeeds at left tackle for the Houston Texans. Left guard is Laken Tomlinson, who you just picked up in free agency. And what excites you about Laken Tomlinson is I think he had 7 seasons where he did not miss a single game. You can rely on him to be there on Sundays. Was a Pro Bowler in 2021. Hasn't been playing at the Pro Bowl level since then, but is not someone who you will say that is the weakest part of the Houston Texans offensive line. Laken Tomlinson, I think, is going to build some character in the offensive line unit, right? If you see one of your veterans day in, day out there consistently, you're going to want to do the same thing. I like this move for the Houston Texans, culture-wise. Center, is it Jared Patterson? Is it Juice Scruggs? If you're asking me, gun to my head, I'm going Juice Scruggs, because that's what the Houston Texans drafted him to do. Drafted him in the 2nd round, no less. Traded up for Juice Scruggs out of, is it Penn State? I believe it is Penn State. But Juice Scruggs, you don't want to give up on a 2nd round pick. did okay in year one at center, showed something at center in year two, looked better as a guard in my opinion. But I think the Houston Texans are going to start out giving the nod to Juice Scruggs at center. And at right guard is someone who we just talked about, and that is Ed Ingram, who the Houston Texans just traded for. And as you know, as we saw the tweet from Adam Wexler, he started his first 3 seasons, and the first 9 games of last season until he was unfortunately benched and not to be seen again. He is our version of Kenyon Green. However, Kenyon Green was a second-round pick. Ed Ingram was Kenyon Green was a first-round pick. Ed Ingram a second-round pick. Can a change in scenery help Ed Ingram? Hopefully. You hope so. If it does work out and you only spend a late-round draft pick, Nick Caserio does it again. And right before his, and right before he is set to get his, second contract in the NFL, I don't know what else to say about Ed Ingram. I know the Minnesota Vikings fans are happy that he is off their team, the same way we were happy that Kenyon Green is off our squad. We'll see. But Ed Ingram, I think, as of right now, is your starting right guard. And at right tackle, it is Blake Fisher, who played right tackle for you towards the end of last season, was your right tackle in the playoffs. I think he has a bright spot at that position. And, we knew Blake Fisher and Titus Howard were names that were going to be solidified at the tackle spot. We just didn't know where. Now, I am looking forward to Blake Fisher. You need him to work out in year two. And if you find your right tackle of the future, hey, great job by Nick Caserio finding that. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, this is the new Houston Texans offensive line. I am very concerned for it. But with that being said, let me know your thoughts and comments down below. For more Houston Texans content, you guys know what to do. Feel free to follow me for more. Go Houston. Have a very blessed day.